Happy Monday. Happy Monday. This is Crystal with Rolling Out's Reality Check, and I'm excited to be here. I hope you're excited to be here as well. Today's conversation is going to take a break from everything else we've been discussing and talk about the standards of beauty. I'm not sure if how many women are out there watching or how many of you guys are going to tune in, but I grew up thinking that Playboy Playmates, first of all, there was this underlying feeling of, sexuality and the fact that they were a little bit risque, but all in all, Playboy Playmates were considered the standard of beauty. Most of them were blonde, very shapely, just the idea of beauty, right? Playboy was built on the foundation that was something that was untouchable to everyone else. It wasn't until later in life that we saw African American women become included in that conversation. But today's guest is African American, and she was also born with a disability. So for her to be featured in Playboy was a huge triumph in so many ways. And so I want to talk to her today about how beauty should really be inclusive and how we can use different platforms to really encourage others and inspire others. So you guys, please help me welcome Marsha Elle, bionic model, no less. Marsha Elle.
Thank you so much for having me, Crystal. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much.
Now, where are you? Where are we speaking to you from?
I am reporting live from Miami, Florida.
Nice.
Quarantine style.
Nice. Now, your pictures are absolutely, before we get into how you connected with Playboy, there were pictures of you that had kind of gone viral because I think people just weren't used to seeing someone with a prosthetic pose and to be like just a beautiful visual. So when did you start taking pictures, and when did that become a part of your daily, I guess, routine?
I think I want to say I was 17, 18. I think for my birthday, I started this ritual where I wanted to I'm a New Year's baby.
Oh, nice.
So that's where it started. So every year I wanted to kind of have a memory for myself of the progress I've made internally and even, I guess, aesthetically, if you will. And I got into modeling a little bit later in life at like the age of 23. My second album, Brave, I decided to really become a little bit more vulnerable with my fans, and I wanted them to see this part of me. For so long, I kind of hid behind the mic, like, hey, listen to my voice, but I would always wear baggy clothes. I lived in Orlando, which is extremely hot, extremely humid, but I had my insecurities, so I really didn't open up till about the age of 23.
Right. Well, let's take us back, because I read that you're from Haiti, and that you were born with this. I don't like to say disability, because we all have something that it may not be physical, but tell us about the I guess the disability that you were born with, and how you dealt with that as a young child growing up in Haiti.
Absolutely. I was born with PFFD, proximal femur focal deficiency, and back in those days, and maybe even now, they didn't have sonograms. So my mom and my father had no idea what, my condition until I was actually delivered. And they were just, okay, this is something that we have. God is good. We're going to love her, and we're going to try to find the best, resources for her. At that time, Haiti wasn't probably the most developing country in that area, in that aspect of like bionic knees and just medical treatment. So I came to the U.S. at 9 months.
You came at 9 months. You were
a baby.
So you were born without the lower half of your leg. Is that correct?
Yes. In theory, my femur didn't fully develop. So I had like the knee down. I had a foot too, and had an amputation at the age of 13.
Oh, wow. Okay. So if you guys are just tuning in, we're talking with musician, Playboy model, bionic woman, Marsha Elle, just about her journey to feeling accepted and to being able to be a role model and inspiration to others. Talking about growing up with PFFD. And I read, this kind of broke my heart, because they didn't have, I believe in your story, they didn't have prosthetics that were colored, of color. So you had to use one that was not, the same color as yourself. Tell us about how that was, just kind of adapting and learning how to use the different leg. And then did you want the leg to be the same color as you, or were you even aware of that?
Absolutely. And my mom made a point to speak with my prosthetist at that time in reference to my first prosthetic because, you know, it was part of my identity at
Mhm.
that point. And I
Mhm.
was 5 years old and I was so excited because that meant I can actually go to school.
Right.
And they gave me a brown cover, but from the
Mhm.
foot down, it was white.
Okay.
And it literally was pale white. Like it wasn't even like a tan and, a mahogany color. No, it was white. And
Mhm.
I remember, well, speaking with my mom about it, she said that at that point they didn't produce, these were German products. They did
Yeah.
not produce our hue.
Right.
It wasn't possible. And so my mom didn't take the prosthetic.
Mm.
She refused it and said, hey, if you guys can find something a little closer,
Mhm.
we'll take it. And then
Mhm.
I got a really, really, really dark one. It was like pretty much black,
Mhm.
but it was better than nothing. But I think that was, I learned a lot from that experience,
Yeah.
that speaking up matters. And the fact that my prosthetist really was like, oh, if she cares, I wonder
Mhm.
if anyone else ever had that issue. And she, after 4 weeks, I think we waited 4 to 5 weeks, and they actually gave us a shell closer to my
Okay.
thumb.
Okay.
But it was bigger. They didn't have one my size as a kid, like the foot
Mhm.
size. They didn't
Mhm.
have that. So much of my identity was in this prosthetic, but at that time they didn't cater to darker skin tones.
Wow.
No.
Wow. Well, kudos to your mom for
Yeah.
being that brave, because I know, being a mom myself, you want you try to just give your child everything, but when your child has a disability, I'm assuming that you're even a fiercer protector, of them, just because they are dealing with something that maybe other people aren't dealing with. Did you struggle a lot in school with kids not understanding or having to explain why you had a prosthetic, or what this condition was that you were born with?
I definitely did, because out of ignorance, kids don't know. So they'd be like,
Mhm.
"Oh, you have a broken leg," and I'm like, "No, I just have a different leg. And do you want to play?" And I think I somewhat overcompensated
Right.
to be accepted, whether it be excelling in academics and always just being nice. And um, I think I may have even given myself a hard time trying to fit in and maybe have the name brands and just try to, just fitting in was so hard because at the end of the day, you see me walking, I walk with a limp, my gait is impaired, and that's been
Mhm.
that way since I was a baby.
Mhm.
Um, so it was hard because they tease you. And my mom, every morning, I kid you not, she used to always say, don't listen to what anyone says. You can be anything you want to be. Like,
Yeah.
she made it a mantra that I think to this day, sometimes I forget and I have to play that in my mind. Like my mom said, you can be anything you want to be,
Yeah.
even a Playboy model.
She probably was expecting that when she
No,
said.
I don't think she realized it. She was like, oh, maybe she's taking it, a little farther than I thought. But, you
Well,
know,
it is like I was saying before you jumped on. Playboy was a standard. I remember thinking like, wow, I would get like Playboy T-shirts, and I had like a Playboy bag, and because it just seemed to be this standard of beauty. And as women and little girls, you grow up wanting to be beautiful, pretty much sometimes more than anything else, unfortunately. And I think things are changing. But before we get into how you ended up in a relationship with Playboy, let's talk about music, because music was the place that kind of helped you to kind of create your own identity, find another self-confidence. So how did you start singing?
I started singing at the age of 5,
Oh,
really
wow.
young. They had a play at school, and it was like, you are my sunshine, my only sunshine. And someone got the lead, and I thought I deserved the lead. I wanted to be in the front, but I didn't get the lead. But I think at that moment, I knew the stage was for me. I was never shy, wasn't
Mhm.
timid. I was just so humbled. If they gave me the mic, I get a chance to do it. And I've
Yeah.
always front and center. And music was my voice when I really didn't want to be seen. but I needed to be heard. And songwriting, it gave me an outlet and it made me special. I think that's what I think. There was something I had that a lot of people don't have, or it's something that I felt like if I cultivated it, I would be able to reach the masses in ways that I can't otherwise.
Right. Now, you said that earlier. You said that for your first album, you didn't show yourself, but then you felt like with Brave, it was time to kind of step from behind the cover, because I know music kind of creates this environment where everybody is the same and you can just hear. You don't have to necessarily focus on the visual, but the music industry is very visually stimulated. So tell us about the decision to step in front of that camera and have the sight of you line up with the voice that people were starting to hear.
Well, with Brave, I felt that it would be an oxymoron to not be brave and not show this vulnerable side of me when people kind of know. They know that, but I hadn't stepped into my full womanhood and embraced this image. Like you said, music industry is a lot of your brand and who you are before it is your music. They want to know your story. They want to,
especially with women. It's so different with us than it is with men.
Right. We can't really make up anything. We kind of have to like match up with everything we write, which is, to each its own. But I needed to do that for Brave. And I think Brave kind of saved me in the people, like for the photos, like the photos that went viral, they went viral probably 18, 19 months after they were shot. And that was around the time Brave was put in. But I remember just saying, I'm going to lay it all out. If this is a bad idea, then it's a bad idea. If it's embraced, it's embraced. But at least I set myself free. With Brave, and I think that was what it was.
Yeah. Well, I reached out to you. I actually tried to find you when I saw the pictures because, growing up, African American women or women of color, just there's so many different things that we deal with because we have usually been so far from America's standard of beauty. So, be it curvy women or darker colored women, a lot of times we've had to fight to be included, even amongst ourselves. So when I saw these pictures of this curvy, beautiful woman with the prosthetic, I was like, who is that? It was a striking picture because it was beautiful, but yet it was very bold, you know what I mean? And just very different. It definitely caught the eye. Whoever your photographer was did an amazing job. But what was your response to the fact that after the pictures went viral and so many people were just struck by that visual? How did that feel to you?
I actually started crying at one point because I remember when Miss Jada Pinkett Smith reposted one of the pictures. I wasn't on social media. I was just, in my own world working and in school. And I get a long text from a cousin of mine. I'm so proud of you. All the kids look up to you in our family. And I've never, I'm West Indian, and they don't express themselves the best way, or they love you, but they don't really know how to fully express it. So when I received this message, I was like, what's going on? And then I look, and then everything is going haywire online. I'm like, oh, thanks. And it kind of, I think it made it feel like it was all worth it.
Yeah.
It was a lot. It meant so much, not more or less because it was accepted, but because at least the impact was felt somewhere. Because I can't, if you go under my Playboy pictures, you'll see hundreds of comments where another person will get, oh, that's hot, that's cute. I get good, bad, indifferent. I can't live by that at all. I'll go crazy.
Right.
But the fact that it's stirring the conversation in my community, specifically people with disabilities and visible disabilities, feel represented, and those messages, it makes me feel encouraged, because for a very long time I didn't feel not only beautiful, but sensual or sexual or appealing or
Right.
something that could be desired. So it's heartwarming, and
Yeah.
I'm happy about it.
Well, that's a good point. And I even before we get into what Playboy means, just as a woman and growing into a woman yourself, being able to see yourself not just as accepted, but also something that's a person that can be desired first and seeing beautiful by yourself. And then, in a relationship, that's really an important part of growth, right? So what was that internal journey like for you? Were you dating when you were younger? Was that something that made you feel uncomfortable when you first started dating?
I was a late bloomer, Crystal. I have to say it. I was a late bloomer. I think, yeah, I started dating at 23. I
Okay.
really did.
Everything happened at 23. You blossomed.
And I was telling my friend earlier, like the last 7 years has been a very fast and faith journey because I could not, it's been up and it's just been going and it's been amazing. But I had this thing where I was like, okay, I don't 100% feel confident in myself, but I really wanted to finish college and like be responsible. And I promise you, as soon as I turned 23, I went crazy. I was flying everywhere. I literally graduated from undergrad, had my suitcase packed, flew to like New York, flew to Minnesota in Airbnb, I was traveling, and everyone was like, "What are you
You were
doing?" I
just
said, "I'm
tasting life.
living."
It's like tasting
Yeah,
life for the first time.
exactly. And that's when I started dating.
Okay.
I got sucked in by someone in the Midwest. Gotta love the Midwest. A lot of character and fun. So yes, that's when I started dating.
Okay. Okay. So how did Playboy come into the picture?
Okay, I want to say dear friend and mentor and someone that I absolutely love because she's very genuine. Jamila Jamil had reached out to me at one point about posting on her I Way, which is an amazing campaign and initiative she has about just promoting body positivity and self acceptance. All of which is like the underlying message behind everything I do. So I said, absolutely. And then we had lunch while she was in Miami, and um, she just gave so much advice about Hollywood and
Yeah.
work and being a female in this industry and the good
Yeah.
stuff. And she followed up with me probably 2 months after and said, "Hey, I'm guest editor. I'm the guest editor for the speech issue, and I would love to have you as one of my models." I was taken back. I'm like, me? I'm so humbled. I because we know Playboy. We know what it is. We know what Playboy looks like. And they have, unbeknownst to so many, have the last few issues, the last year or two, they've changed, they've vamped up, and there's actually so much literature and substance, and it's very impressive.
Yeah.
I've read it, and for them to have me, it was humbling, and for Jamila to put a stamp on it, that meant a lot because that's someone that I appreciate,
Yeah.
just her candor and her insight and what she's done to help. So that's how I connected with Playboy, and it was like the best experience ever. So much fun.
That's awesome. Congratulations again on that. If you guys are just tuning in, we're having a great conversation with model and musician Marsha Elle about her Playboy campaign, but also how music played a very big role in saving her and helping her find her self-confidence. My next question is, I was so taken by your bio when I got in, and then I read the article and some more articles on you, and I wonder, because you're still very, very young. You just started tasting life, you've blossomed, but you have a long way to go. But how does it feel when you're able to hear other little girls or little boys that are dealing with that, and during their journey, and they're able to see you, and that gives them something to see that, okay, there's nothing wrong with me, or there are other people like this. What does that feel like?
It makes you feel as though this wasn't an accident. This wasn't a mishap. This was purposeful. And that I'm making a difference. It's not about how much you're liked,
Yeah.
but remembering how you make people feel.
Mm-hmm.
That is what's lasting. They might forget my name, they might forget the song, but they'll never forget how I made them feel. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's what saved someone from maybe a depression or
Mm-hmm.
falling to a state of, complete loss. I'm happy because I needed that growing up, and I
Yeah.
found that in a community of amputees at the age of 16.
Mm-hmm.
I would, I can't go back in time, but I would have loved to have met other amputees or someone to look up to when I was younger. I've never seen anyone like me do this.
Right.
Not growing up. I hope now, but now I see it everywhere, and I'm like, thank you so much,
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood and in fashion, for at least trying,
Right.
to push that in and making it a little bit more normal and not an oddity. Like, oh, this is an amputee. Okay. She's
Mm-hmm.
in a wheelchair. Okay. And that conversation makes people more compassionate.
Right. It does.
And not pity.
I like that. I like that. Because I was just thinking about how for so long media has really used beauty against all of us, So there's a certain standard. If you don't fit that, then you're not worthy, be it because of your skin color, because of your height, because of your weight, because of, something that you're born with. So I think what you said to your point about just the conversation and people, it may not be something that you like to look at, but the fact that you're looking at it and the fact that you're thinking about it and the fact that you see it. So it's not something that seems odd to you, right? Because when people don't see things, then when they do see them, they think, oh, that's different, or that person is, yeah.
Right.
So how do you feel about that overall? Just like women, you have some women that are born that have no physical issues, but their self-esteem, is still not in the place that it should be. What advice do you have for women that may be trying to fix their bodies or wear makeup, do what they have to do, what they can to be accepted? What message would you have for them?
I can say that it starts from within, as cliche as it may sound.
Yeah.
Vanity is fleeting. And I always, even during this quarantine, I'm like, I have to train, I have to work out, I have to stay up, but it's for my mental health as well, more than it is physical. All of this ties in because we're one being. We have to take care of ourselves on different aspects. So, I mean, it's a big debate. Like, people say plastic surgery, should you do it or should you not? I think it should be definitely your last resort once you have really considered what makes you happy. Is it really vain? Because any day, I tell people, anyone can become disabled any day. You can walk down a stair and trip and be temporarily disabled. And is your worth in something that's as vain as your size or your teeth, your smile, whatever? It starts from within. The work started within. I think writing through Brave, it cut and curved out a lot of places that weren't touched. And that is why I said, okay, now I have to be brave and show them, because people are going to make fun of it. And I've never revisited the childhood trauma of people making fun of me, and I hid behind my clothes. So I'm now able to say that I'm more comfortable with it because I worked on the inside.
Yeah.
And so I hope the viewers and everyone that sees my photos, they understand that it's more about what's inside and the work that you began, as opposed to anything aesthetic, makeup, hair, those things are not as important. Your insides are invaluable. Your heart, your compassion, your empathy. That's what makes you beautiful.
That's what makes you beautiful. I love that. I know I didn't prep you for this, but I'm just wondering if you could sing a little bit of Brave for us so we could just hear that. I think with what you just said so beautifully, the time is great for that, because I see women, especially in entertainment, we're in a very entertainment driven culture. And if you don't do that inner work, no matter what your situation is, eventually you have to, and that is truly what makes you beautiful. So if you grace us, that would be amazing.
Okay. do a little something. This is I Am Beautiful. I wake up, first thing I see my flaws. No makeup, just me, nobody else. I'm faced with my reflection. Standing here now, accepting truth, deep scars within, carving my heart. I speak to myself, saying these words. I am beautiful. I am beautiful. I am beautiful. Look in the mirror. You are beautiful. You are beautiful. You are beautiful. Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror.
I don't have a clap machine, but thank you so much, Marsha. Can you please let people know where they can get that song and any other music that you have out? Where can we find that?
Yes, you can find Champion Brave, I Am Beautiful, all my singles on iTunes, Google Play, anywhere digital music is sold. And you can find me at Marsha Elle Music. That's on Instagram, Twitter. You can go to marshaellemusic.com and you'll find all my links in all my socials.
Okay. Thank you so much, Marsha. I hope you guys definitely go check her out. She's got beautiful images, beautiful song, but most importantly, a beautiful spirit. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Monday. This is Christal Jordan with Rolling Out. It's been Reality Check, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it as much as I have. Thanks again so much to Marsha, and I'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.